Kate's story, a woman who left marriage to find freedom. I once thought I would live in a perfect marriage forever. But now, after divorcing and stepping out of that institution, I've realized one important thing. Freedom is what I needed most in my life. Is it just me? I'm 50 and very well satisfied with my friends with benefits lifestyle and have no interest in a long-term monogamous relationship. I'm Kate, and I was married for 25 years. We had 3 children, a house with a lush garden, a writer, and a business I had poured my heart and soul into. At the time, I believed I had everything that people dream of in a family. But the longer I stayed in that marriage, the more I felt like I was a mere shadow of myself. My husband, the man I once loved dearly, no longer saw me as a woman. I had become nothing more than a machine, working tirelessly to manage our entire life. I was the one who took care of the business, the children, the house, while he seemed to do little more than sit back and relax. When I had become physically and emotionally drained, he decided he needed something fresh. He sought the company of a younger woman. The feeling of betrayal was painful, but it wasn't the worst part. The worst part was realizing that I had lost myself. Lost all that I had worked for and all that I had given over the years. Eventually, we decided to divorce. It wasn't easy, but I knew I couldn't continue living in a relationship where I no longer felt loved or respected. We went our separate ways, and my life entered a new chapter. It wasn't easy, but it was undoubtedly a challenging and promising one. A new horizon, freedom without strings. I don't go without intimacy. In fact, I'm experiencing more intimacy than I ever have before in my life. Friends with benefits really do provide me with a plethora of benefits. After the divorce, I wasn't in a rush to find a new partner. I had given away so much of myself in the 25 years of marriage. Now, I just wanted to find myself again. I didn't need a man to feel complete. I needed freedom. And I found that in casual encounters. Friends with benefits was a term I began to use after leaving my marriage. No commitment, no responsibility, just comfort. I met men who intrigued me, and with them, I didn't have to explain my emotions or share the burdens of life. We met when I wanted to, and when I didn't, I simply turned off my phone and returned to my own life. In fact, I've never felt more fulfilled emotionally than I do now. These casual encounters give me what I couldn't find in my marriage. Freedom. I'm not the one who cooks dinner, not the one who worries about household chores, and certainly not the one who lies awake at night with earplugs because of his snoring. I get to enjoy everything when I want to. And there's no guilt. What's not to love about that? Why would I want to change? This is empowerment for women. Discovering the change from within. There are times when I ask myself whether I feel lonely, but then I realize that the loneliness I thought I would face is actually the very thing I had been searching for. Inner freedom. I had lived so long in a relationship where I could not be myself. Now, I am the only one I need to care for. There are no responsibilities beyond my own well-being. Sometimes, I run into old friends, people who knew me when I was a wife, a mother. They often ask me, "Kate, do you think you'll ever get married again?" I answer immediately, with certainty, "No, I don't need a man in my life anymore." My answer always surprises them, but I don't mind. It's the truth, and I don't feel the need to change it. They tell me, "The right man is out there for you," or "You'll change your mind one day," or "You don't want to be old and alone." I listen, but I stand firm. I don't need to explain myself. I have no interest in entering another marriage. The life I have now is fulfilling, and I don't feel incomplete without a partner. Stronger and without regret. My relationship with my ex-husband wasn't a failure. It was a lesson. It taught me to love myself, to put my needs first. For me, life is not about finding someone to walk with. It's about finding satisfaction and happiness in my own company. Now I no longer feel the need to justify or apologize for my choices. I am happy with what I have, and I am proud of having walked away from a marriage where I could no longer find life. I live for myself, and I will continue to do so. Kate's continued journey. Living my best life. The past months have brought me a kind of peace and understanding I never thought possible. I used to believe that intimacy meant a commitment, a contract, a binding that would guarantee a certain level of comfort and security. But now, I know better. The intimacy I've experienced since stepping away from my marriage has been deeper, more fulfilling, and far more rewarding than I ever imagined. I never knew how much I had been missing. For the first time in years, I'm enjoying a kind of freedom I didn't know I craved. The type of intimacy I've been sharing with my lovers isn't just physical, it's emotional and intellectual too. There's no contract to bind us together. But somehow, the connections I've had with these men have felt as real and as deep as any romantic relationship I've had before. There are no strings, no obligations, just pure, raw connection. There's something incredibly freeing in knowing that you don't have to owe anyone anything. You can be present with them without the weight of expectation. In my previous life, I was always the one carrying the burden, making decisions, solving problems, managing everything for everyone. But now, I don't have to do that. I can enjoy the pleasures of life without feeling like I have to shoulder everything, and it's been such a revelation. No longer do I feel like a caretaker or a fixer. I'm simply a woman, fully present, living for herself, and enjoying each moment as it comes. When people ask if I'm lonely, I can honestly say no. What does loneliness even mean? Is it really about having someone beside you all the time? Or is it about the quality of the connections you share? I've come to realize that you don't need to be married to avoid being lonely. In fact, sometimes marriage can feel more isolating than being single. In many marriages, what exists between two people is not a deep connection, but rather a kind of codependence. You're tied together, but not necessarily in a way that nurtures your soul. It's like being handcuffed together, rather than feeling an equal, vibrant partnership. I've found that I feel more connected now that I'm single than I ever did while married. The relationships I've formed since then have been real. My best friendships have deepened, and I'm closer than ever to my children. They are growing into wonderful adults, and our bond is stronger than it ever was. I'm not lonely. I'm connected. I'm thriving in a way I never thought possible. And yes, there are men in my life now. Some for a night, others for longer. The ones who stay are the ones I truly enjoy. The ones who bring something to my life, who add to my experience. It's not always perfect, of course. Not every encounter has been magical, but the ones that have been make the journey worthwhile. I've shared incredible experiences with men who have made me feel seen, valued, and desired, but always on my terms. No strings, just shared moments of joy and passion. And those moments are precious to me. We live in a society that loves to label people, to categorize them. If you're single, you're automatically seen as alone, incomplete, lonely. But that's just society's narrative. It's not mine. I've never felt more connected to the people in my life than I do now. I have the freedom to enjoy my friendships without the pressure of expectations, and it's made all the difference. There's a stigma that follows women like me. Society whispers that we're somehow broken or incomplete. They don't understand how someone can be fulfilled without the conventional romantic setup. But I'm living proof that it's possible. I am happier than I've ever been. I don't need to answer to anyone. Don't need anyone's approval to live my life the way I see fit. I'm building connections, deep connections. But they don't have to be monogamous or traditional. I've learned to let go of those labels, and in doing so, I've found a happiness that feels true to who I am. Every encounter I've had, every moment of intimacy, every friendship I've cultivated, it all contributes to the person I am today. I've stopped looking outside of myself for validation. I've stopped caring about what others think. The advice I receive from well-meaning friends or family, you'll find the right man soon, you'll settle down again, you don't want to grow old and alone, it's all just noise. I've heard it all, and I don't need to listen anymore. The truth is, I am living my best life now, and that life is rich with connection, joy, and authenticity. I look at my life now, and I can't help but feel proud of how far I've come. I've reclaimed myself, found my voice, and embraced the freedom I always dreamed of. I've allowed myself to step away from the roles that once defined me, wife, mother, caretaker, and allowed myself to simply be Kate. The woman who lives for herself, who is unapologetically free, who is more connected than ever to the people who truly matter. And I will never go back. This is my life, and I am thriving in it. Living life without the constraints of society. The more I live this way, the more I realize that what society defines as normal is often restrictive. We are told that happiness is tied to commitment, to monogamy, to the traditional notion of a family. But what if happiness is not bound by those things? What if true happiness comes from living life on your own terms, from creating your own rules, from finding joy in the simple pleasures that life offers? I've had men tell me I'm brave or bold or daring. But I don't feel brave. I feel free. The freedom to be who I am without fear of judgment. The freedom to explore my desires, my passions, and my connections without shame. This is what true empowerment looks like to me. It's not about following the path that society has set out for us. It's about breaking free from the chains that bind us and carving out our own path, one that is true to who we are. And no, I don't regret a single moment. I don't regret leaving my marriage. I don't regret stepping away from the life that once defined me. Because now I am living a life that is mine, truly mine. It's not perfect, but it's mine. And that is all I need. I've discovered something profound in this journey. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. When you're able to love and embrace yourself fully, you don't need anyone else to validate your worth. I am enough. I always have been. And now, I'm living a life that reflects that truth. In this continuation, Kate's journey towards self-discovery, freedom, and empowerment is further explored. The narrative delves deeply into her internal transformation, as she rejects societal norms and embraces a life that is authentic and fulfilling. She has reclaimed her life, her happiness, and her identity, and is determined to continue on this path, free from the expectations of others.